What's going on? So this is going to be part 2 of my PvE loadout for my rogue. This part is going to be single target damage, right? So I'm using the assassin loadout again, but the abilities and stuff I'm using is slightly different. I'll just briefly go over the gear again, depending on which video you watch. Maybe this will be the first one of part two, or 2 parts. So basically, you want to get the best gear you can. You're looking for stats that are going to maximize, in my opinion, your offensive stats you want to do first, right? So you're looking for power, critical strike, critical severity. To me, those are the top 3 important ones. Then between your accuracy and combat advantage, you want to get those as high as you can. I actually have pretty good defensive stats on this guy, mostly because of the armor he's wearing. So my defense is pretty close to being capped. I'm like 100 away, which is less than 1%. My defense will be capped, and a lot of these, when you're in combat, I get buffs for different areas, so a lot of these numbers will jump up. Very briefly, I'm going to go over the enchantments again. I'm using Shadowclad. Mostly, I was running with a Bark Shield before, but the Bark Shield got a little nerfed this last one. So this is something I had laying around from PvP, and to be honest, it's still pretty great. It it enhances my deflection and my defense, which is nice considering I didn't have to go out and buy a brand new one. To me it was free, so there's nothing wrong with that. Another option, I think one of the better ones right now, would probably be a negation enchant. Those are pretty strong. Offensive, I'm still using Vorpal. Your critical strike, critical severity is increased by 3%. That alone is really what sold me on it, and then you get an extra 6% damage as arcane when you use your powers. For defensive slots, I'm using Vicious because it gives me deflection and critical avoidance. And then offense, I'm using Savage because it gives me critical strike, critical severity. And again, like in the new mod, from what I've heard, critical avoidance is going to be super important. I'm not a tank, obviously, but you want your survivability to be as high as it can be, without sacrificing too much of your offensive stats. So again, my defense was pretty much capped on this guy, so the critical avoidance and the deflect were nice from the vicious enchantments. So yeah. For my single target damage, I'm actually using Halaster's Blast Scepter because it hits your enemy with Arcane Blast, stunning and damaging it for 35,000, right? But your target's damage resistance is lowered by 15%, which is really nice when you come in with your combat power. I'm using the Giant Toad. You can also use, Tunnel Vision. It's a strong single target attack, magnitude 3,000, right? So when you add that 50% damage debuff, or the damage resistance debuff that they're gonna have, you're gonna hit them a lot harder. So you jump in. I'll show you the rotations here in a bit too. But you jump in, you hit him with your scepter, you hit him with your mount power, and then you blow through your cooldowns, and you're doing an immense amount of damage within a few seconds there. So just very briefly, I'm using the Ender Master's Mantle set because the set bonus I like increases damage dealt by 2.5%. Any of the demons, devils, and fiends you're fighting will be at another 2.5%, so you're getting 5% damage against all of them. There's going to be a new set coming out with a new mod that I'm going to pick up, and I'll show you guys that once it's live. I need to put my enchantment back over here. And then for my rings, I'm just using Striking Ring of the Master. My melee powers do 3% more, and it gives me critical strike. And then I've got the Gold Ring of the Herald because my encounter powers do 3% more. It's got critical strike, critical severity. I did have some leftover radiance from before, and I used a couple of them just to keep my power close to max. But again, once you're actually in combat, there's a lot of different buffs that go on, so my power generally is a little bit over, so I might need to do some adjustments there. We're just going to go over the powers really quickly. My R2 is Duelist Flurry, and I have my weapon set up for the modified version of that, so it's nice. And then Gloaming Cut's cool. If you kill an enemy with it, you get 20% of your stealth bar back. Awesome, right? I use Lashing Blade, I use Death Strike, and I'm using Assassinate. And the reason is because I like to start with the Death Strike. This it teleports you behind your enemy. It does 700 magnitude, and it slows them for 5 seconds, right? If you're stealth, it increases the range and allows you to teleport to a friendly target. In PvE, it's very, very rare that you're actually going to want to use that part. So that's why I don't stealth before I go in here, because it's too easy to accidentally click on a friendly rather than an enemy. And then basically you're just wasting a pretty good attack there. So I like to open with Triangle to teleport behind your enemy, and it does damage and slows them. Then I start with I go with Assassinate, which quickly strikes an enemy, dealing physical damage and interrupting them. If you attack from behind, the damage is 25% stronger, and the magnitude is already 845, right? So again, this one puts you directly behind your enemy. It slows them so they're not going to run away too quickly, and then you immediately follow up with Assassinate, right? Doing a quite a bit of damage. If you're in stealth for Assassinate, it will make the attack 25% stronger from any direction. However, I don't waste my stealth for that right away. So like I said, I open with triangle and I hit him with circle, and then I stealth, and then I'll hit him with the lashing blade, because when you stealth, it adds another 50% additional critical severity to the attack, right? And it's a strong 715 magnitude. Now with the 50% additional critical severity to the attack, again, my critical severity is not that far from being capped, so a lot of that is kind of wasted, but you know, it's better. I feel like it's better than wasting the stealth on this attack, because you're already going to be behind your enemy, so you might as well stealth and get that extra 50%. So then for some people, it might not actually take you over your critical severity limit. So again, these daily powers are not any different between my other two loadouts. I use Bloodbath for AoE. Nice part about this is that while you're flashing around hitting the enemies, you also don't take any damage, which is pretty nice. It can keep you out of a sticky situation, keep you alive longer, so you can continue to do DPS. And then Shocking Execution, 2200 magnitude. If you hit a target that's below 20%, you instantly refill half your action points, which is actually really nice. It can only happen once every 20 seconds, but that can keep you keep your daily powers going a lot more often during your dungeon or whatnot. Same as my other loadout, I'm still using Skillful Infiltrator. Movement speed is nice, but the 2.5 deflection and critical strike is what I'm really using that for. And then sneak attack. Again, between these two, you have an extra 25% movement, which is nice. But this also increases the cooldown rate of your powers by 5% and stuff. Now, these cooldowns are not as bad as when I'm in my AoE loadout, but as you can see, 14 seconds, 13, 11. So potentially longer in your stealth, the cooldowns will actually come back to you quicker. I'm using Toxic Blades here. It's a damage over time ability, which is nice. Master of the Shadows, your stealth passively drains 50% as fast, but your stealth regen is increased by 50%. So again, you're staying in your stealth longer, potentially cooling down your encounter powers a lot faster. Duelist Expertise. It stacks up, and then when you gain your 16th stat or you leave combat, you get Master Duelist, and that consumes all the stats, but it grants you 15% damage and deflect chance for 10 seconds. That is quite a lot of damage. 15% damage, you know, so that's one's pretty easy choice there, I feel like. Back Alley Tactics, you deal up to 10% more damage based on how few action points you have. Now, there's not a lot of action point gain that I use in this build, but even if there was, the fact is, as soon as you get your daily power, you want to use it. I mean, obviously be smart. You don't want to waste it on one little mob that's about to die anyway. You want to make sure, you know, you're getting your maximum potential out of it. However, the faster you use a daily power, the quicker you can start building up to your next one, and the more often you use it throughout the dungeon, the more damage you're going to do over time. So in my opinion, I'm going to spend a lot of time with a few amount of action points, so I could potentially do up to 10% more damage through that. And then Shadow's Flurry, your attacks have a 5% chance to spawn a shadowy figure that uses the final combo of Duelist Flurry on the target. I probably actually should switch it to this one, because when an enemy has under 20% life, your attacks have a 10% chance to execute the target. Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna, this might be the better choice for a single target damage loadout. So keep that in mind there. The boons, just very quickly, I'm gonna talk about them. You just want to maximize whatever stats you're kind of missing, so I chose Critical Strike. I've got my defense bonus, and then I'm using the mount speed, but also you can use a treasure hunter, and you can use the potion one alternatively. And then with your campaign boons, you just want to beef up whatever stats you're kind of lacking. I actually use the same for my AoE loadout and this one, so you know, this adds to the forte percentage per rank, so that's 4% to your forte. This is action point gain by another 4%, awesome. And this one, chance on encounter to decrease target's defense by 1% per rank, do an additional attack equal to 120% of your weapon damage plus 10% per rank, or increase your action point gain by 0.5% per rank for 10 seconds, right? The companions I chose here are a little bit different. I'm still actually, so I had quite a few of the Blessed Sword Knight of the companions, so I have a separate I have 6 of them all together. So I have 3 on my other loadout for AoE and 3 for this one. That way I didn't have to keep changing the rune stones. But on this one, I'm using the recondite rune stones because I'm using an augment companion for my single target. There were other options for fighter companions for single target, but I feel like your stats are going to help you burn down an enemy faster, at least for a rogue, than the actual companions that I had. So I use recondite just to boost my accuracy a little bit on all of these. As you can see, my accuracy is still not close to being capped, but you know, it's still a couple percentages higher because of those. So you gotta kind of get what you can there. This one's nice too because chance on hit to increase you and your companion's critical severity by up to 7.5%, right? My companion is augment, so he's not going to gain anything from that, but I will. 7.5% critical severity is going to bring me well over my cap. So that's nice to have. Companion bonuses are very similar to the other video that I have. I want to really quickly talk about the Raptor's Instincts, right? So there's a companion you get called the Tame Velociraptor. The cool thing is you don't have to have him summoned to be able to use the offense power of Raptor's Instincts, right? So I'm gonna go back to my augment, but you were part of the pack. You and any allies that are part of the pack gain 3.8% power, and this effect can stack up to 5 times. So if you're in a group with multiple people running this, you can actually get a good amount of power from it. Again, me personally, my power is capped already, pretty close to it, you know, once I'm in combat and I got all the buffs and everything. So I'm using the Baby D Crow's presence. But you know, the benefit of that, if you're in a surefire group and everybody has that companion, you can move around some of your enchants. You can take off, you know, you can rearrange some of your items or equipment to take off some of your power, so then you're getting the maximum benefit from that, and hopefully you can put up, you know, bring up one of your other stats. Defensive power, I'm using a Baby Bullet's presence. If you take more than 20% of your max HP in a single blow, you heal for 22% over the next 5 seconds. That's actually a really good heal. You're gaining more life, and it's a 5-second heal, so you're getting quite a bit of your health back immediately. It can only happen once every 60 seconds, but you know, that's every other couple groups of mobs, so that's not bad at all. I'm using a Hawk's Instinct for critical severity, critical chance. I'm using the Arena's Wisdom for critical severity and defense. And then my utility, I just don't have a better companion to put there, so 30,000 maximum HP, awesome. And then going to the mounts, I'm using the Giant Toad Tongue Lash, and I've got Armor Breaker to again try to get my critical severity up as high as I can. And for insignia bonuses, this is a little different than the other one. So I've got the top 3 are most of mine are actually defensive stats, right? So this one is whenever you're stunned, knocked, or immobilized, I get a heal over time. Upon taking greater than 35% of your maximum HP and a pre-mitigated damage from a single blow, receive buffs to defense, critical avoidance, deflect, and awareness. And at the bottom right, you can see it's actually 2,500 to each of those stats, which is quite a bit. So that's a very nice one. I think Victim's Preservation is probably the most important one up here. Champion's Return, when reduced to 50% health points, you receive a heal over time. And also your stamina, right? So it's it says, yeah, instantly recover 10% of your stamina and you're healed for 5% of your max HP over 10 seconds. It's not, so it's double. It takes 10 seconds instead of 5, but it can happen every 30 seconds instead of every 60 seconds, right? So it's a little bit of a trade-off between those two. On receiving critical strike damage, you receive a boost to critical avoidance, and teammates receive a boost to their defense. It's 2,500 critical avoidance for you, and up to 4 teammates can receive 2,500 defense for 5 seconds. This can trigger every 10 seconds. So this is actually, I believe, going to be really nice in the new mod 20, because from my understanding, a lot of the enemies are going to be doing a lot of critical strike damage, and that's why you want your critical avoidance to be up. So anytime I receive a critical strike, I'm going to buff myself and my teammates, right? And then Cavalry's Warning, when you use a mount combat power, receive a buff to all ratings. You get 2,000 to all your ratings for 10 seconds. Now, because my mount is mythic, I can use a mount power every minute. Every 1 minute that cooldown is over, and I can use my mount power. So potentially every minute you could be buffing all of your stats by 2,000, right? Now you'll see most of these are defensive, but they work really well again with like the Baby Bullets. So if I'm taking more than 20% of my HP, I'm gonna heal for 22%. But at the same time, if that was a stun, I'm getting a heal. If I take over 35% instead of just 20, I get a buff to all my ratings. And let's say that 35% was enough to bring me down to 50 HP, 50% HP. I receive a heal over time for this. So these all work really well in conjunction, you know, against critical strike. And all of these I focused on defensive, just to kind of bring, I felt like I was pretty good on my offensive stats. So this is just going to increase your survivability, make it a lot easier on your healer, because let's face it, if you're dead, you can't DPS. So yep. You know, and again, you guys can, you know, play around with these different insignia bonuses. You can actually go to this tab and you can read exactly what they do. And on the left, it tells you the name of it, and it tells you what kind of insignias you need to get that that bonus, right? So you could play around. There's some offensive ones. There might be some that are better than what I've got. You know, these are just the ones that I'm rolling with here.